Hi there, Alex Kidman from finder.com.au. Now, when you sign up for a mobile contract, whether that's a postpaid plan with a handset included or just a prepaid SIM-only plan, you expect to get the service that you're paying for. But what do you do and what can you do when things go wrong? Well, the very first thing, and in fact the most important thing that you need to do, is document what goes wrong. So if you can't send a text for a certain amount of time, then document the time that you couldn't send the text and what you were trying to send and the provider. If your broadband keeps dropping out, document when that happens. If you're getting bills that indicate calls or services that you haven't used, document those. As much detail as possible. The next step is then to contact your provider, because you could just scream at a wall about all the problems you're having with your service, and whilst that might be a little bit invigorating, it's not actually going to get your problem resolved. Contact your provider and explain to them what the problem you're having is. Now, most of the time they will try to resolve that, and having the detail that you've got will really help, because you may have had an outage in your broadband in your area that you weren't aware of, and they'll be able to tell you about that. Equally, there might be some service updates or some kind of fault that they need to rectify. Remember, you're paying them money, so they're keen to keep you as a customer. But what happens if you have repeated problems? So you're constantly being billed the wrong amount, or your broadband constantly drops out, or your phone service isn't up to snuff. Well, then you should continue to contact your provider and make them aware of your ongoing issues. Again, it's still in their interest to keep you as a happy customer. Now, bear in mind when you're contacting your telecommunications provider, you don't just have to call them and sit on hold. There are multiple ways that most telecommunications providers can take customer queries. And I'm thinking here of things like social media. So most of them will have a Facebook page where you can leave a complaint, or a Twitter feed where you can contact them. And often that can be a much more rapid way to get resolution to your problems than sitting on hold and listening to that interminable hold music all the time. Again though, remember to document who you talked to, what they said and what they claimed, because if you do need to take it to another level, you can then say, I contacted this company on this date via Facebook, via Twitter, however you did it, and you'll have those details. You'll be able to say, this is what they claimed would happen. And then if it doesn't happen, you've got evidence going forward. But if they can't or won't solve your problems, you can then take it to the next level. And in this case, that involves going to the relevant industry ombudsman. Now, for telecommunication services in Australia, the relevant ombudsman is the Telecommunication Industry Ombudsman, or TIO. The TIO will hear cases where a telecommunications provider and a customer are unable to meet a resolution about any kind of broad telecommunications issue. But they'll only do so if you've made genuine attempts to resolve the issue with your provider in the first place. That's why it's important to have your documentation, but it's also important to have contacted your provider. You can't simply head to the TIO the very first time something goes wrong. The TIO is a free service to use for consumers. It's actually paid for by the telecommunication companies themselves, which actually gives them a double impetus to resolve your issue. Not only do they want to keep you as a customer, but also they're actually paying for the TIO to hear the case. It's not an absolute slam dunk that the TIO will agree with your interpretation of events, of course. They will hear the evidence and issue a judgment in that case. But it can be a very good way if you're being overcharged to get a refund, or if you want out of a mobile or broadband contract because service can't be provided to you, for you to be able to do that without fault. If the TIO agrees that yes, the telecommunications provider is not living up to their end of the contract, then you should be able to get that kind of resolution if you have ongoing telecommunication problems. Thanks for watching.